Hello everyone. Good evening everyone. I know it's 10 p.m. but I'm very sure as an aspirant you all must be very active by now. Hey, hi. Can I see how many of you are here? Just comment hi if you're able to hear me. Hey, hi Kishan. And sorry for that last minute fiasco. I think there was some issue with the last link. Instead of the screen sharing mode, it turned out to be a mere webcam mode. So I had to delete it and then make the changes. Yes. Hey, hi Nandita. Hello Abhinav. Hey Ankur. Hi Arvind. Hey Dhriti. Hi Samriddhi, Nandini, Shubham, Pasari. Hey, hi. Hello Arvind. Great. Good guys. So I think we'll just start in next 1 minute. Meanwhile, if you have any of your friends who want to join the session, ask them to join in. In this session, I will talk primarily about, of course, the pattern of XAT. We'll start with that and then we'll talk about what is the importance of decision making. What is it that the XAT or XLRI per se really wants to check from this decision making section? What pointers need to be taken care of when you're attempting any decision making section? And I'm very sure you all must have just started the preparation. So I'm sure that these 4 or 5 major thumb rules will really help you. I'll also talk about some important strategy to take care of to minimize negative marking in decision making section. This of course is one of the make or break section. There are students who end up getting negatives score in decision making. I have seen people scoring -5, -6 in decision making as well, and I've seen people scoring as high as 30, not 30 of course, but yeah, 70-80% marks in decision making. And this is the only section at which I'll say most of you, in fact all of you, currently are at the same level. No one has any edge over it. For example, if we talk about quant, people believe that engineers, IITians, people who are by birth really sharp about maths have an edge. Non-engineers or people who love reading, they have an edge over VARC. But decision making is the only section where all of you are currently at the exactly same level. And now it totally depends on you. Where do you want to take it from here? Okay, everyone is at the same level, and trust me, people can go to -3, -4 from here, and people can go to say +10, +15 here. Okay, and this is a doable section. Everyone can do it in last I'll say 3 weeks should be more than enough to finish decision making. Okay, so we will also cover that, and I'll also talk about the major decision making type of questions that has been seen in CAT. Sorry, not CAT, but XAT since last couple of years. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. At the end, we will also solve some real XAT questions, some 4 to 5 different variants of questions. In the interest of time, I've just taken one question per type so that I also talk about it, and then we all solve questions together and learn from the process. Okay, so ready, excited? Any questions, by the way, before we start? If you have it, please drop it in the comment box. Okay, hey Mridul, hi Vishal, hello Palak, hi Shivam, hi. Great. By the way, I'm in Delhi and it's really freezing here, or maybe I'm feeling slightly cold, so I sort of wore this cap. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start in next 15 seconds. Hold on to your nerves, and this session is really going to be exciting. Still, I would request everyone to just drop a message in your respective groups that the session is about to begin. They still have 10 more seconds to join us. Okay, great. And meanwhile, all the students who are here, I would request you to just press the thumb button and subscribe to the channel. It will really mean a lot to me. Just like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, that helps us in the YouTube algorithm, of course. Okay, thank you. Sure. Hey Shubham. Safety, yes Shubham, I'm feeling slightly cold, so yeah. Okay, so let us begin with the agenda for today. Before even starting, first announcement, I'm very sure that all the students who are here with me at this time for the session have already applied to the form. and to the XAT, like XAT exam. If you haven't, you can still do it. I think I will change this year. This is not 2020, this is 2021. I know since this lockdown time, you don't keep an eye on the year. It just keeps on passing 2020, 21, 22. So yeah, it's December 10, 2021. This is the new deadline. If you haven't applied and filled the form, you can still do it. Okay. Next, I'll very briefly talk about the pattern, and I'm very sure that you all would be knowing about it. Okay. It's going to be an online exam, of course. There will be 4 sections to it. Okay. By the way, who all know what all are these 4 sections? Of course, Quant, DLR, Verbal, and GK. Is it? I see some of the students still in that phase of CAT. Like, what are the 4 sections of XAT? Come on. What 4 sections are asked in XAT? Anyone? Hey Shivam, hi. Hello Abhishek. Hello Bhuvnesh. Very quickly, can anyone comment what are the 4 sections of XAT? Anyone? Decision making, good. Okay, by the time you are answering it, one important thing, and I'm very sure you all would be knowing it, but still I really want to reiterate on this point. Duration is 180 minutes. It is divided into 2 parts, 165 minutes for part 1 and 15 minutes for part 2, which means part 1 will be over within 165 minutes. Okay. And part 2 is when the GK part starts, and you'll be given solely 15 minutes for the GK. I'll cover all of it. Okay. Whether you really need to focus and worry much about the GK or not. There is no sectional time limit, which means this 165 minutes you can easily swap between the 3 sections that you've just mentioned in the comment box: Quant, Verbal, and Decision Making. You can swap, you can use your own time, your own methodology as you want. Okay, there is no sectional time limit. You can switch between the timings. But having said that, of course, there is a sectional cutoff, which means you will have to first of all clear the sectional cutoff. So what should be the ideal strategy? I'll talk about it very soon. Okay, so maybe in the interest of time, I will just try to also cover it here. So see, these are the 165 crucial minutes that you have in your hand, which will decide your fate, that whether you're going to crack XAT or not. And the major issue that happens in XAT is not with respect to your overall percentile, but with respect to clearing the sectional cutoff. Many students end up scoring 98, 99, and 98 plus is good enough to fetch a call even from XLRI BM. Okay, trust me on it. It is good enough to fetch a call and to even convert it. But the problem that happens is people are not able to clear sectional cutoff. That really restricts that XLRI dream call from you. Okay, so the idea should be to make sure that you're clearing the sectional cutoff. You can just Google ki last year ki kya cutoff se. I have not included it in the slide per se in the interest of time, but you can ask me if you want. Else it is available on Google. You just Google it once. Okay. So of course, the ideal way should be to be able to spend at least even number of time. For example, I'll say at least 45 minutes into 3 should be spent. Okay, which means this brings you to 135 minutes. At least spend 45 minutes in Quant, 45 minutes in decision making, and 45 minutes in VARC. Okay, ideally decision making and VARC, people can do it faster. They don't really these 2 sections do not need much time as compared to Quant. Quant is slightly lengthier. So yes, and the remaining 30 minutes you should be able to use it on your strength section. Strength as in the section that you think can really fetch you a lot of marks. It can be decision making, it can be verbal, it can be Quant, totally depending on you. Okay, and how do you decide which section is your strength, which is not? By taking at least 5 mocks. Okay, at least 5 mocks wala thumb rule still hold true. You have to take at least 5 mocks of that. Minimum 5 mocks. Okay, I'll say at least take 10-15 if you can, but minimum 5 mocks is must. Moving further, number of questions. Last year number of questions were 100. This year number of questions have been reduced to 99. Okay, last year Quant plus DI was just 1 section and number of questions were 28. This year they have reduced the number of questions to 27. I think last to last year it was 99 questions. Last year they have increased 1 question to 100, and this year again they have reduced 1 question and it is back to 27. Okay, so 26 questions in verbal, 21 questions in decision making, and 27 questions in Quant. Okay, so ideally of course Quant will take slightly higher time as compared to other 2 sections. So yes, you can decide Decision making 21 questions, 40, 42, 45 minutes should be more than enough to finish the entire section. VARC 26 questions, maybe around 45 to 50, 52 minutes should be good enough, and you can give the entire time code to quant and DI if this is your strength. If this is not your strength, you may want to leverage it somewhere else. Okay, GK के 25 questions आएंगे, no need to worry, लास्ट के 15 मिनट है, that is more than enough for GK. Okay, GK में नेगेटिव होगा या नहीं होगा, I'll cover it in the subsequent slide. Okay, NAT questions, of course, CAT में जैसे थीटा होता है, NAT is like उसका छोटा भाई, right? So NAT is numerical answer type questions, which means in some of the question in VARC, decision making or quant, you will not be given option, rather you will have to type your answers. ठीक है, the answer is 4.0 type 4. So read the instructions carefully. This is also there, so you will have some MCQ question and some NAT type of questions. Fair? This is just the pattern of the exam, and I'm very sure most of you would be knowing it. Hey Vinod, hi. Okay, so moving on to the salient features, of course, each MCQ. So unlike CAT, यहाँ पे you will have 5 options, and hence that is considered to be slightly difficult as compared to CAT, because your probability of having a right answer reduces. It is 0.25 in CAT, here it is 0.2, right? So each MCQ is followed by 5 answer questions typically. Okay, XAT का scoring pattern is +1 if you make a correct question, minus 0.25 if you make a negative, which means यहाँ पे गलती का भी बहुत ज़्यादा, see, chances of having a wrong answer is anyways higher here, it is 0.8, right? Plus penalty of having a wrong answer is also wrong. In CAT it is, ठीक है, it is 1/3, ठीक है, -1 + 3. Here it is -1 and +4, or like -1, -0.25 and +1. तो यहाँ पे मेक श्योर नेगेटिव मत करना. नेगेटिव से a lot of people really mess up. So negatives is something that needs to be taken care of at the utmost priority. GK में कोई नेगेटिव नहीं है. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, लास्ट के 15 मिनट तुमको मिल रहे हैं डेडिकेटेडली, 25 क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं, सबको सारे क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करके आने हैं. वेदर यू आर एबल टू सॉल्व ए क्वेश्चन और नॉट, तुक्का भी लगाना है, डू इट, बट अटेम्प्ट ऑल द 25 क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, जीके में इट्स अ थंब रूल, यू हैव टू अटेम्प्ट ऑल द 25 क्वेश्चन. ओके, by the way, GK का score is not counted for your percentile calculation. It is a very, very, very important point that I'm mentioning. So don't be stressed about GK. I don't think anyone needs to prepare anything extra for GK. If you have done it for IFT, that is more than enough. ठीक है, सब तुक्के भी लगा के आ जाओगे, सबके बी भी लगाओगे, you will be able to clear the minimum cutoff. Okay, GK score is not calculated in your percentile calculation. GK का percentile अलग से आएगा, but it is not calculated in your overall percentile. Okay, so GK क्यों देते हैं? GK is typically considered at the time of conversion. ठीक है, when XLRI releases की, ठीक है, these are the top students who have converted से XLRI BM और से XLRI HR. And if there is a tie between say Shivam and Shubham, okay, then how do they decide who would convert and who would not? So GK is typically used as a tiebreaker at the time of conversion, not unless otherwise. ठीक है, इसलिए GK के लिए don't worry much, don't waste your time with GK. 15 मिनट है, 25 क्वेश्चन है, everyone should be able to do it. Okay, why everyone is writing all the sections name and chat box? Good. Vishal, because that was the question that I've asked. Okay, so this is clear. GK के लिए कोई टेंशन नहीं लेना है, कोई परसेंटाइल में काउंट नहीं होता है, बिंदास जाना है. GK के जितने आ रहे हैं वो करो, जो नहीं आते उसके भी तुक्के लगा के आ जाओ. Absolutely not an issue. Okay, now this is the most important point, which is slightly confusing to a couple of aspirants. Can anyone tell me the meaning of this line? Penalty of 0.1 mark per question if more than 8 questions are left unattempted. What is the meaning of this particular sentence? Anyone? बताओ. This looks slightly confusing, I know, but what is the meaning of this particular point? You can comment the answers and please pay attention. I'll clear it for once. इसके बाद don't ask doubts. पिंग मत करना, सर इस लाइन का क्या मतलब है, शुड आई अटेम्प्ट द एंटायर पेपर, नहीं आ रहा तो भी करूं, बिकॉज इफ आई डू नॉट अटेम्प्ट इट तो भी ज़ैट नेगेटिव मार्किंग कर रहा है. आई एम आंसरिंग दिस क्वेश्चन फॉर वंस एंड फॉर ऑल, सो प्लीज पे अटेंशन. See, what is this saying? This is essentially saying that if more than 8 questions are left unattempted, okay? So see, in XAT, you will have 99 questions, okay? 99 में से the breakup is 74 plus 25, okay? 25 questions are for GK. Okay, so any smart, any person who is watching this video should be attempting 25 on 25, goes without saying, right? एक भी क्वेश्चन नहीं छोड़ना है, आए चाहे ना आए, क्वेश्चन करके आना है. ओके, सो सब लोग 25 क्वेश्चन तो कम से कम करके आएंगे. अब बचा 74. ठीक है, सो आउट ऑफ 74, एनी स्टूडेंट हु मैनेज टू सॉल्व say more than 66 questions. Okay, if you manage to solve at least 66 questions, then this point has no value for you. ठीक है, because तुम 8 से ज़्यादा questions नहीं छोड़ रहे हो, so your no mark will be deducted. But अभी एक question आता है, सर अगर मेरे attempts ज़्यादा नहीं है, then should I really focus on this point or not? Let me answer that question. Now see, this essentially says that 0.1 mark per question. Okay, which means if you are leaving 10 questions, okay, if you are leaving 10 questions, then this basically corresponds to 1 mark. Okay, which means if more than 8 questions are left unattempted. ठीक है, so this is basically saying कि यार अगर तुम 10 questions छोड़ते हो तब जाके 1 नंबर कटेगा. ठीक है, which means this is not really a significant point. This will not affect your score much. So the point I'm trying to make is, इस point के चक्कर में तुक्के लगा के मत आ जाना in your core part 1 section of 74 questions. Okay, this point does not hold any value, which क्योंकि 10 question तुम नहीं करोगे तब जाके 1 मार्क कम होगा, राइट? उसको लगाने के चक्कर में if you end up making mistakes, गलत आंसर मार्क कर दिए, if your accuracy gets hampered, you will be deducted 0.25 marks, and 0.25 of course is much greater than 0.1, so the opportunity cost is very high. So do not make this mistake of saving mark here कि यार मेरे को वो 0.1 सेव करना है तो B लगा के आ जाता हूँ, ऐसा बिल्कुल मत करना. ठीक है, this point does not really hold much value. Okay, last point here is, let me clear the ink here. 165 minutes will be given for the first 74 questions except GK and 15 minutes for GK. I think I have already mentioned this point earlier. Okay, any question in this slide? Can we move on? Okay, I'm seeing some question. Does job experience required if there is gap after degree if my ZAT percentile is good? Yeah, I don't think these are the pointers that you can do anything at this moment. Hardly 3 weeks are left to ZAT. Okay, don't worry and don't distract your mind on pointers that you have no control of. जितना वेटेज मिलना होगा तुमको मिल चुका होगा. You have already applied, फॉर्म में तुम डिटेल्स डाल चुके हो, so don't worry about it. ZAT में परसेंटाइल लेके आओगे, परसेंटाइल आया तो फ्रेशर हो गए तो भी तुमको कॉल आएगा. 3 साल का वर्क एक्स है, स्टिल यू विल हैव अ पॉइंट. बीच में कितना भी गैप हो, 1 साल 2 साल, विल नॉट एड मच ऑफ ए वैल्यू, एटलीस्ट टू फेच a call from XLRI. Okay, clear? Now next slide is of utmost importance because I really want to convey the importance of decision making section. Okay, कि decision making क्यों important है. So let me try to show you 2 scorecards. Both of these scorecards belong to me. Okay, so I think ZAT 2013 is the first time when I wrote ZAT. Okay, I think back then I was in my final year of graduation. Okay, तो यहाँ पे the thing that I really want to focus on is, see, you can see I was in my final year of engineering. I think मैंने अपनी story काफ़ी time बताई है, तो I'll just repeat the story for the students who are new. So what happened was I was of course with IIT, तो I thought कि ठीक है, quant, LRDI, verbal is decent, aptitude is decent, so I just went to write ZAT exam without really even focusing कि ZAT में क्या होता है, decision making आता है. I had absolutely no clue that okay, ZAT में there is a new section of decision making. I just went there thinking ठीक है, I have my good maths का background, so I'll be able to do whatever comes to me. निकल जाएगा पेपर. मैं वहाँ गया, of course because quant का बेस अच्छा था, so I ended up scoring 99.95. Okay, but having said that, if you have a look at my other sections का scorecard, verbal 52.26 percentile and decision making 41.62 percentile. Okay, and if you see overall percentile, it was around 94. I had 0 call from any college. XIM से भी मुझे कॉल नहीं आया था. Okay, of course I did not apply to it, but वहाँ से भी कॉल नहीं आता even if I had applied for it. Okay, then I've been writing ZAT for 4, 5, 6 years. तो ये like this is the last time that I wrote ZAT 2019. XAT 2019 में of course I was into teaching line, तो मुझे पता था decision making क्या होता है, how do you think about decision making. So this time I knew कि ठीक है, I just have to have a balanced scorecard. So the point here I wanted to make is if you compare my quant का score, it is not as much as it was back in 2013. ठीक है, so hence if you see my percentile also in quant, it is what, 98.19. okay, verbal, by God grace, I don't know, I just got into some reading habit, I guess, which really helped me to fetch a percentile of around 91. And decision making was a section because I knew those basic thumb rules, I managed to score around 95, 96. And because this this was more of a balanced scorecard. I was not extremely high on any of the section, nor I was extremely low in either of the sections. And that helped me to fetch what, 98.8 percentile. By the way, XAT 2019, I already graduated from IIM Calcutta back then. So I just went and wrote paper because I wanted to understand the pattern. Okay. So I went there and like I was quite happy कि 98.7 पे भी मुझे percentile आया. And this is the letter that I got. So if you see, LRDI had called me. So if you see the date, this is February to March 2019. So I only put the screenshot to emphasize on the point कि 98.7 परसेंटाइल पे भी एक्सेल बीएम से कॉल आता है. ओके, सो ऐसा नहीं है कि 99.9 ही लाना पड़ेगा. द मेन क्रक्स एंड द मेन थिंग दैट हैज चेंज्ड फ्रॉम 2013 to 2019 is a humongous delta in my decision making score. Okay, so the pointers to even all the engineers here is do not pay much heed to just one section. Decision making will really make or break your score. And you can see this particular scorecard. It is not a fake scorecard, by the way. This is my own scorecard. You can validate the details if you need. But yeah, that is the point that I really wanted to convey. Decision making mein abhi everyone is at the same level. If you manage to take a lead, your XAT will be pretty much sorted. Okay. QADI tougher than CAT? Yes, Ashin, it is slightly lengthier, and it is also tougher than CAT because CAT may last 4-5 years. Se quant has been slightly easier. Okay. Any other question? 165 minutes will be logged for first 74 questions. Apurv, yes, absolutely. 165 minutes will be logged for first 74 questions, and then 15 minutes will be logged for the next 25 questions. Okay. So that is it. I hope this gives you at least some idea कि decision making का क्या importance होता है. Okay. Now next slide, I just try to cover some pointers that a lot of students had pinged me about. Sir, decision making क्या है, because it's a new section, no one had any clue. At least the students who are writing that for the very first time, is it a difficult section, easy है, क्या होता है decision making में, they don't have a clue. People, sir, can I really score well? मुझे अभी तक तो कुछ आता नहीं है. I'm just left with like 3 months, not 3 months, but yeah 3 weeks. Can I really score 98, 99 in decision making? And third question is why XAT is the only B school that focuses on decision making. Okay. So some key questions that I will now answer in the next slide about decision making. Okay. First thing is, see, decision making, let me make this thing very clear. People think that decision making you are given some case slate, you have to read it, answer questions, but decision making is not even close to RC. Okay, decision making is not like VARC, not at all. कोई भी correlation नहीं है in VARC and decision making. These two are different pools. Okay. Although decision making के जो questions आते हैं, those are on similar lines that you're given a passage or a case slate or some information basis which you will be asked a couple of questions and you'll have to answer it. So that theme is same, but decision making is not even close to the way in which you learn or answer RCs. Okay. So if you're good in RCs, does that mean that you'll be good in decision making? Probably no. Okay. See, here in decision making section, the paper setter, he really wants to check your core management skill, that how well can you think, how justified can you think, how rational can you think. Okay, can you really be a good leader or not? So decision making, in my opinion, is that core section which really tests your MBA or say managerial skill. Okay, and here you basically need to shape your thoughts to be ethically and politically correct, and these two are the most important word. If you like, put it in your brain, I think you'll be able to ace decision making section. You don't have to just be yourself, you have to be in the shoe of a manager and then think from his point of view whether this is ethically right, whether this is politically correct or not. By the way, that focuses a lot on ethics. सो कहीं पे अगर ऑप्शंस में ऐसा कंफ्यूजन आ रहा है, चूज दैट ऑप्शन विच इज एथिकली करेक्ट. ओके, एंड डिसीजन मेकिंग का सेक्शन विल टिपिकली कवर अ मिक्स ऑफ बिहेवियरल टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, कुछ मैनेजरियल क्वेश्चंस होंगे वेयर यू विल बी मैनेजर ऑफ some MNC, some good firm, and then you'll have to make a decision, and some logical questions, number based questions भी आते हैं इसमें. Okay, of course goes without saying इसमें कोई theory test नहीं होती, it only checks your attitude and not aptitude. Okay, ये मैं बता चुका हूँ. यहाँ पे the interviews, the paper setter really wants to check how rationally can you think on the real world problems. जैसा कहते हैं ना बी स्कूल में केस स्टडी अप्रोच बहुत ज्यादा काम में लेता है. सो ये डिसीजन मेकिंग वही चीज चेक करता है कि हाउ वेल कैन यू अप्लाई योरसेल्फ एंड सी फ्रॉम अ केस स्टडीज पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. ओके, नाउ इन द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड आई विल जस्ट ट्राई टू कवर सम बेसिक टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दैट आर आस्क्ड in XAT. Okay, so typically first variant of question that comes in XAT is, okay, I'll also see if there are any question, if quant and DI is tougher than CAT, then how XAT is comparatively easier to crack. Okay, approve, because reason being decision making is an entirely new section for everyone, which in my opinion is slightly easier than the section of LRDI. Same goes for VARC, it is slightly easier than the VARC of CAT. Okay, plus time यहाँ पे तुमको अच्छा मिलता है. Next thing is you don't have any sectional cutoff, any sectional limit. You can switch between the sections. Okay, and hence all of these factors makes that slightly easier if you prepare well. एक महीना अगर अच्छे से तैयारी करी, you'll be able to ace that. Okay, so yes, coming back to that, the possible type of questions that are asked in XAT decision making. First पहले होते हैं single question. इसमें क्या होता है, 2-3 लाइन का information will be given to you and then you'll be asked questions. Okay, which means एक question के लिए एक information है, you will read that particular information जो भी 2-3 लाइन में given है, and then you will solve those 1 or 2 questions that are asked to you. Okay, इसलिए यहाँ पे एक क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करने में तुमको कम टाइम लगता है, बिकॉज सिर्फ 2-3 लाइन की ही इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन रहती है, ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं गिवन रहती. ओके, सो आई जस्ट राइट हियर. यहाँ पे मेन थिंग है कि टाइम पर क्वेश्चन इज रियली लो. You can solve questions faster here. Okay, and plus these questions are slightly easier to crack in my opinion. Okay, again this is an analysis basis last 6-7-8 साल से जिस तरीके से XAT में पैटर्न हो रहा है. Okay, so जो सिंगल क्वेश्चंस होते हैं जिसमें सिंगल क्वेश्चन पे सिंगल इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन है, these questions are slightly easier to crack, but of course इसका ROI is not much because basis the information you are only asked 1 or 2 questions and not a bunch of questions. Okay, नेक्स्ट थिंग होता है कि यार यहाँ पे क्या होता है, 2-3 पैराग्राफ बेस्ड एक केस होता है. ठीक है, मे बी 2-3 स्मॉल पैराग्राफ. तो इन टोटल यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट 8 to 10 लाइन ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन टू यू. उसके बेसिस पे 2-3 क्वेश्चंस होते हैं. ओके, यहाँ पे द की टू क्रैक सच वेरिएंट ऑफ क्वेश्चन इज, सी फर्स्ट थिंग इज यू हैव टू, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पैसेज पढ़ के तुम 2-3 क्वेश्चन ही मिलते हो, तो यहाँ पे ROI इनफैक्ट लाइक सबसे कम है. प्लस दिस इज स्लाइटली डिफिकल्ट टू क्रैक एज कम्पेयर टू फर्स्ट, क्योंकि इसका लेवल स्लाइटली ज्यादा रहता है एज कम्पेयर टू द फर्स्ट वेरिएंट. तो यहाँ पे आइडिया है कि जो भी इस टाइप के क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं डिसीजन मेकिंग वेयर यू हैव ओनली 2 to 3 क्वेश्चन बेसिस अ केसलेट, यहाँ पे फर्स्ट थिंग इज हैव अ ग्लैंस एट द पैसेज. जो भी 2-3 पैराग्राफ गिवन है, जस्ट क्विकली 15-20 सेकंड में ग्लैंस कर लो कि पैसेज किस टोन पे, एंड इफ यू थिंक द सेंट्रल थीम ऑफ द पैसेज इज इन लाइन विद योर एक्सपर्टीज, तुमको वो पैसेज समझ में आ रहा है, you have some basic fundamental idea about that theme, then you should be able to attempt such questions. Okay, इसलिए यहाँ पे चेक कर लेना कि तुम्हारे कंफर्ट जोन से क्वेश्चन है या नहीं है. अगर नहीं है, यू मे वांट टू मार्क सच पैसेजेस फॉर लेटर. ऑफ कोर्स ये स्ट्रैटेजी कोई गिवन स्ट्रैटेजी नहीं है, यू विल हैव टू ट्राई इट इन योर मॉक्स, बट दिस इज वन वे दैट हैज बीन सीन. सो ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन कीप इट इन योर माइंड व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग मॉक्स एंड देन अकॉर्डिंगली मेक योर ओन स्ट्रैटेजी. हैविंग सेड दैट, लास्ट वेरिएंट होता है 5 to 6 क्वेश्चंस वाला केसलेट, सिमिलर टू DILR. ठीक है, सिमिलर टू DILR इन अ सेंस कि वहां पे भी 4-5 क्वेश्चन होते हैं, यहाँ पे भी 5-6 क्वेश्चन होते हैं बेसिस केसलेट. सो विच मीन्स ROI ऑफ कोर्स इज मैक्सिमम. एक अच्छा सा 6-7 4-5-6 पैराग्राफ का जो भी केसलेट आया उसको तुमने अच्छे से पढ़ लिया, यू विल बी एबल टू सॉल्व 5 to 6 क्वेश्चंस. हेंस ROI इज रियली हाई. बट यहाँ पे चैलेंजेस, ऑप्शंस थोड़े से कंफ्यूजिंग होते हैं यहाँ पे. ओके, बट इवन देन अगर 5-6 क्वेश्चंस भी गिवन है, 3-4 क्वेश्चंस आर इजिली डूएबल. दैट is what the history says. Okay, so these are the three common variant of decision making questions that are asked in XAT. Single question जिसमें टाइम कम लगता है, थोड़ी सी इजी होते हैं, बट देन एक ही क्वेश्चन तुम कर पाते हो. देन 5 to 6 क्वेश्चंस, इन दोनों में मुझे लगता है ROI थोड़ा सा ज्यादा है. 2 से 3 क्वेश्चन होते हैं, वहां पे क्वेश्चंस भी कम है एंड पैसेज थोड़ा सा बड़ा होता है, वहां पे आई थिंक ROI इज स्लाइटली हायर. विच मीन्स वेन एवर यू आर टेकिंग पेपर, ये देख लेना कि वॉट एवर पैसेज दैट यू आर रीडिंग उसके एसोसिएटेड कितने क्वेश्चन है. सिर्फ 2 क्वेश्चन है और अगर एक पेज का पैराग्राफ दे दिया है, यू प्रोबेबली डू नॉट वांट टू वेस्ट योर टाइम. ओके, तो उसको मार्क कर लेना, मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट पैसेज जहां पे कम इंफॉर्मेशन में ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस को तुम स्कोर कर सको. ओके, सो दीज वर द 3 वेरिएंट्स. हे योगेश, हाय. हेलो अनुराग, ग्रेट. So I'll move on to the next slide now. Okay, now this slide is the most important slide. Here I'll try to cover some strategy that I have used in XAT and that I've seen working well. Okay, so first strategy. Okay, maybe before jumping onto this strategy, can anyone guess the meaning of PQP strategy? PQP. What do you think can be the meaning of PQP strategy with respect to decision making? Because that is a strategy that I would strongly recommend everyone to use in your mocks and try if this strategy works for you. What is PQP strategy? Anyone? Okay, so PQP strategy says here P means passage, Q means question, and then P means passage. Okay, so what you have to do is just have a very quick glance at the passage first of all, and this is applicable to RCs as well as decision making दोनों में. ठीक है, roughly जो passage है उसको glance कर लो. Read between the lines. You don't have to read the entire passage. Okay, just read between the lines. Spend 30-40 good seconds to have a gist of what the passage has to say, and this is applicable both in XAT RCs as well as in long decision making caselets. Okay, then go back to the question. Again, you don't have to read all the questions or read all the options, just read between the lines all the questions that are associated with this particular RC or this particular decision making. Then go back to the passage and then start reading the questions again. क्योंकि XAT में typically RCs में you will be able to see direct questions, right? Which means you may not have to read the entire long RCs. Okay, so try glancing the passage first of all, then jumping on to the question and then going to the passage again. Okay, and this will also help you to not pick a wrong set क्योंकि यहाँ पे time limited है. Okay, and you may want to maximize your score. So तुम लोग का time बिल्कुल waste ही नहीं होगा if you try to follow PQP strategy. Else, if you start reading the passage properly पूरा, उसके बाद जाके तुमने questions देखे, then you may end up saying कि यार questions बहुत ही difficult है, questions कम है, questions are not relatable, and then you'll have to waste 5, 6, 10 मिनट and time का बहुत बड़ा खेल है XAT में. Okay, so try to follow PQP strategy. पूरा passage पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है XAT में, unlike CAT. CAT में of course you have to understand कि पैसेज क्या कह रहा है, ऑथर क्या कहना चाह रहा है, सेंट्रल थीम क्या है, समरी क्या है, बिफोर जंपिंग ऑन टू द क्वेश्चन, अनलाइक दैट. ओके, सेकेंड थिंग. ओके, लेट मी सी इफ देयर आर एनी क्वेश्चंस. ओके, ग्रेट, देयर आर नो क्वेश्चंस. सेकेंड इज द स्टेक होल्डर अप्रोच. एंड आई एम श्योर वंस यू स्टार्ट प्रिपेयरिंग कहीं से भी, किसी भी सोर्सेज, किसी भी कोचिंग से तुम तैयारी करोगे डिसीजन मेकिंग की, एवरीवन विल स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्टेक होल्डर अप्रोच. If they know कि XAT में क्या पूछा जाता है. Stakeholder approach is the single most and that one method that applies to all the decision making questions. Okay, stakeholder approach सबसे important strategy है. Okay, यहाँ पे क्या होता है, यहाँ पे the idea is first step, identify all the stakeholders of a particular केसलेट. डिसीजन मेकिंग का अगर 2 लाइन का है, चाहे 4 लाइन का है, चाहे 2 पैराग्राफ का है, चाहे 2 पेज का केसलेट हो, कोई भी केसलेट आ रहा हो डिसीजन मेकिंग में, फर्स्ट थिंग इज एट द बैक ऑफ योर माइंड यू शुड बी एबल टू आइडेंटिफाई ऑल द स्टेक होल्डर्स. कैन एनीवन टेल मी व्हाट यू मीन बाय स्टेक होल्डर्स? एनीवन? बाय द टाइम आई स्टार्ट राइटिंग हियर, if anyone can tell me what do you mean by stakeholders, I think that would be really really great. Okay, protagonist. Okay, सी स्टेक होल्डर मतलब ये नहीं है कि भाई जो बढ़िया आदमी है वही उसी की हम बात करें, राइट? स्टेक होल्डर्स कैन बी हीरोज of your caselet or they can also be villains of your caselet. Okay, stakeholder का मतलब है कि यार जो भी डिसीजन मेकिंग, जो भी केसलेट तुम सॉल्व कर रहे हो उसका प्रोटैगनिस्ट कौन है. ओके, कैन एनीवन गिव मी सम एग्जांपल्स ऑफ स्टेक होल्डर्स? कोई भी अपन नॉर्मल लाइफ सिचुएशन होता है, कोई भी हम लोग न्यूज आर्टिकल्स पढ़ते हैं, कोई भी इफ यू हैव रेड सम ऑफ द HBS हार्वर्ड बिजनेस के केसेस और आर्टिकल्स, यू वुड नो स्टेक होल्डर्स क्या होते हैं. एनी स्टूडेंट हु नोज or who maybe can give some common examples of stakeholders in our day-to-day life. Okay, for example, let's talk about CAT का पेपर. CAT का जो actual पेपर होता है उसके stakeholders क्या क्या है? Of course, I as an aspirant, I am a stakeholder. The exam body जो IIM की authority who is setting up the paper, that is also a stakeholder. One stakeholder could be invigilator. We have seen invigilators role in IFT paper. So yes, they are also an important stakeholders because what they do, the way they behave affects the final result. Okay, and then infrastructure. ठीक है. So see, stakeholders are those people जो main protagonist है, जिसके बारे में बात हो रही है, who which are the subject of our main caselet. Okay, so some common stakeholders could be, again, these are the stakeholders that you would see in quite a few decision making caselets. Okay, एक हो गया कि भाई गवर्नमेंट की बात हो रही है. Okay, if you are talking about any government project, if you are some government official in your decision making caselet, you'll have to think from government's point of view. Okay, तो of course government office type की problems बहुत होती है, managerial problems, उसमें one of the main protagonists is manager. Okay, manager is not the only protagonist, he is not the only stakeholders. You'll also have to think from employees point of view because any company works with combined and unified efforts of both employees and managers. तो एक stakeholder हो गया employee. Okay, गवर्नमेंट वाले में मे बी ऑडिट डिपार्टमेंट हो गया, लीगल डिपार्टमेंट हो गया, एनीथिंग, बेसिकली एनी सब्जेक्ट associated with our topic becomes our stakeholders. So the first thing is you should be able to identify ki what all stakeholders is the particular caselet talking about. Okay, and then start thinking from their point of view. Okay, once you're able to identify stakeholder, I think you are halfway done in that decision making section. फिर तुमको सिर्फ stakeholder के point of view से सोचना है कि यार सारे stakeholder के point of view से कौन सा decision ज़्यादा better रहेगा. Okay, of course, decision making में there is no single right answer. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि you have a passage, 5 option given है, पांचों ही options गलत है, but in that you will have to choose that option which is least wrong. ऐसा भी हो सकता है you are given a decision making caselet, 5 options है, all the 5 options look correct to you. In that case, you will have to choose an option which is more correct. Hence, XAT decision making previous year questions जब भी करो, follow the answers that are given by XAT and not by any coaching institute, क्योंकि यहाँ पे आंसर्स बहुत डिफर करते हैं. पेपर आने के बाद हर कोचिंग अपने अपने आंसर की निकालता है, हर आंसर की में काफी वेरिएशन होता है, पर्टिकुलरली इन दिस डिसीजन मेकिंग सेक्शन, बिकॉज देयर इज नो सिंगल राइट आंसर. ओके, हेंस follow XAT official answers and not the answers given by any coaching institute when you are practicing decision making. Because क्या होगा, तुम गलत आंसर रेफर करोगे, you will start making your own thought process basis the wrong answers and चीजें फिर mess up हो जाएगी. Okay, one thing, do not make any personal assumptions or favoritism before coming on to this point. यहाँ पे जो मैंने stakeholder approach की बात करी उसमें I think there was one point that I really wanted to emphasize is decision making particularly में, because मैंने ये बताया कि कोई right answer नहीं होता, right? You have to choose more correct option or you have to choose less incorrect option. Hence, elimination method works best in decision making. You cannot say कि मैंने decision making का केस पढ़ा, 5 ऑप्शन पढ़े, A सही है तो A लगा दिया. नहीं, A सही इसीलिए है because B, C, D and E are not correct and hence A is correct. So elimination method becomes the most important method here. Okay, elimination method, which means whenever you're trying to solve any decision making caselet, अभी practice भी कर रहे हो तो try to eliminate other options. Okay, unless you're able to eliminate, तब तक तुम्हारा फंडा क्लियर नहीं होगा, फ्लूक ही रहेगा ये. ठीक है, सो एलिमिनेशन मेथड वर्क्स द मोस्ट इन डिसीजन मेकिंग. ओके, एसेंशियली यू हैव टू चूज दैट ऑप्शन विच मैक्सिमाइजेस योर ROI. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ, जिसमें एक ऐसा ऑप्शन चूज करो जिसमें वैल्यू तो सबसे ज्यादा मिल रही है एंड कॉस्ट और मे बी डैमेज सबसे कम हो रहा है. वी विल अंडरस्टैंड कि इसको प्रैक्टिकली हम कैसे देखते हैं इन डिफरेंट केस लिट्स इन द सब्सिक्वेंट पार्ट ऑफ आवर सेशन. ओके, बट तुमको वो देखना है जहां पे बेनिफिट तुमको सबसे ज्यादा मिल रहा है एंड कॉस्ट सबसे कम हो रहा है. टेक्निकली हम इसको कहते हैं कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस, इफ यू हैव हर्ड अबाउट दीज टर्म्स, राइट. बेनिफिट ज्यादा करो, डैमेज सबसे कम होना चाहिए स्टेक होल्डर, सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स को मिला के. ओके, एंड एट द वेरी बिगिनिंग ऑफ दिस सेशन मैंने मेंशन किया था कि देयर आर सम स्टूडेंट्स हु एंड अप गेटिंग नेगेटिव स्कोर्स इन डिसीजन मेकिंग. वो क्यों होता है वो मैं बताता हूं. ओके, एंड इसीलिए डिसीजन मेकिंग को सबसे अनप्रेडिक्टेबल, सबसे टफेस्ट भी बोला जाता है, सबसे इजी भी बोला जाता है, बिकॉज बहुत लोग इसको इसमें फुल भी ले आते हैं. इट्स जस्ट अबाउट हाउ वेल डू यू एक्लिमेटाइज योरसेल्फ to the situation. Once you're able to do that, I think decision making will be a cakewalk for you. Okay, and personal assumptions वाला जो point था वो negative बच्चों के इसीलिए आते हैं because people start feeling the subject. अगर कोई topic हम लोग मान लो workers की बात कर रहे हैं, poor class की बात कर रहे हैं, middle class की बात कर रहे हैं, और मे बी से women की बात कर रहे हैं, gender diversity की बात कर रहे हैं, people started having a sense of empathy towards the subject of the decision making, and that is the wrong way to move on with the decision making section. You can't have any personal assumption. कोई favoritism नहीं दे सकते कि यार women men के बारे में कोई टॉपिक है, then you start assuming कि of course women को थोड़ा सा favoritism दिया जाएगा because India है, gender diversity है, we want to uplift women, etc etc. No, you have to think from the subject, from the decision making point of view. बहुत ही rationally सोचना है, ठीक है. सो दैट इज द मेन आइडिया. कोई पर्सनल एजम्पशन, कोई पुरानी सोच, मैंने न्यूज आर्टिकल पढ़ा था उसमें ऐसा हुआ था, कुछ उससे लेना देना नहीं है इसमें. डिसीजन मेकिंग में जो इन्फॉर्मेशन गिवन है उसी के बेसिस पे तुमको आंसर निकालना है. कोई एक्सटर्नल इन्फॉर्मेशन को इसमें फीड नहीं करना है डिसीजन मेकिंग में. एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर एबल टू डू इट, ट्रस्ट में इसमें नेगेटिव नहीं होगा. ओके, सो don't get influenced by the options, don't get your moral judgments passed while you're trying to solve any decision making caselet. Okay, फॉर एग्जाम्पल ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि जो मैंने एग्जाम्पल बताया कि कोई सिविल राइट्स की बात हो रही है, विमेन की बात हो रही है, वर्कर्स की बात हो रही है, तो ऐसे में हमको लगता है कि यार दीज आर द लोअर, नॉट विमेन बट फॉर एग्जाम्पल वर्कर्स हो गया, ब्लू कॉलर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, पुअर पीपल की बात कर रहे हैं, तो ये थोड़ा सा लोअर सेगमेंट है. वी हैव सम सेंस ऑफ एम्पैथी टुवर्ड्स देम, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि हमेशा वो लोग सही ही होंगे. नो, और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि हमेशा रिच पीपल विल ऑलवेज बी रॉन्ग, जो हमको दिखाया जाता है. एब्सोल्युटली नॉट. Okay, rich people may be right and poor people may be wrong basis the information that is given to me in the caselet. Okay, so ये ध्यान रख लेना, इसकी वजह से बहुत गलती होती है डिसीजन मेकिंग में. So I'm reiterating this point multiple times. Okay, ऐसा हो सकता है कि that the demand of the lower class say workers is not justified. कोई लेबर यूनियन है, उनका डिमांड बहुत ही irrational है. In that case we will have to go against workers, we'll have to go against poor class as well. Extreme options भी लेना पड़ेगा. If we have to if you are say CEO of a company, उस कंपनी में there is an employee, उसके अगेंस्ट एक लड़की ने sexual harassment का केस कर दिया, you are the CEO of the company, you may have to fire that candidate right away because that is the rational thing to do. Okay, and vice versa as well. किसी लड़की ने एक लड़के को फंसाया and that complaint gets justified. As a manager, as a CEO, as an HR manager, you may have to take extreme options as well because that is the right thing to do as a manager. So you'll have to identify कि कौन stakeholder है and basis that you'll have to make your own decisions. Clear? Okay, then another point, avoid unethical options. I think I've already made this point very clear. XAT focuses a lot on ethics. कभी भी कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, जो सबसे ज्यादा ethical option लग रहा है वो मार्क कर देना, क्वेश्चन सही हो जाएगा. It has happened in the past. Okay, avoid any extreme option. बहुत ही एक्सट्रीम है कि भाई विमेन, अगर कुछ ऐसा हो रहा है कि ये काम लड़कियां नहीं कर पाएगी बिकॉज उसमें कुछ बैक एंड अजम्पशन इन्वॉल्व है. अवॉइड सच एक्सट्रीम अनएथिकल ऑप्शंस. ओके, हम कुछ क्वेश्चंस करेंगे सो दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट डू आई मीन बाय एक्सट्रीम ऑप्शंस. ओके, हमेशा डिसीजन मेकिंग में मॉरल एंड एथिक्स को सबसे ज्यादा वेटेज देना है. See, there's a point why I'm trying to emphasize a lot on these points क्योंकि ये स्लाइड बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है सबके लिए. ओके, एथिक्स, मॉरल्स, ये सब बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है इन योर डिसीजन मेकिंग. सो द पीपल हु आर लाइक रियली फोकस्ड ऑन वैल्यूज, आई थिंक दे विल बी एबल टू डू वेल इन डिसीजन मेकिंग सेक्शन. ओके, अनदर थिंग, कंपनी की जो पॉलिसी होती है, जो HR की पॉलिसी होती है, इट कैन नेवर गो रॉन्ग. वेन एवर यू आर सॉल्विंग एनी केस, never try to challenge कि यार कंपनी की पॉलिसी ही गलत है. No, company's policy will always be right. Okay, which basically means कि मैनेजर या कंपनी वाले ऑफिशियल्स है, they will always be right. So basis them, keeping yourself as a company, keeping yourself as a manager, you'll have to think. ठीक है. यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा तुमको डेमोक्रेटिक रूल फॉलो करना रहता है कि सारे ही स्टेक होल्डर्स को साथ में लेके हम कैसे मैक्सिमाइज कर सके अपने वैल्यू को, राइट. सो दैट इज अनदर थिंग. ऑफ कोर्स कभी भी कोई देयर आर सर्टेन टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस जहाँ पे ये भी पूछा जाता है कि एक सिचुएशन हो गई है, 5-6 ऑप्शन है, व्हाट इज द बेस्ट सिक्वेंस, कौन सा पहले करूं, कौन सा स्टेप बाद में करना चाहिए. तो इन सच क्वेश्चंस द मेन आइडिया इज फर्स्ट थिंग आइडेंटिफाई द प्रॉब्लम एंड योर अल्टीमेट गोल शुड बी टू डाउस द फायर. ठीक है, कि कैसे मैं प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर सकूं. एज अ मैनेजर, एज एन कंपनी ऑफिशियल, यू डू नॉट हैव टू रन अवे फ्रॉम द प्रॉब्लम्स, राइट. अल्टीमेट गोल फ्रॉम योर आंसर शुड कम that you're trying, you're making an effort to solve the problem and not delegate the problem, right. जैसा actual में I'm sure बहुत लोगों की कंपनी में ऐसा होता होगा, but यहाँ पे हमको वो चीज़ बिल्कुल नहीं कर रही. We have to be ethically, morally strong. We have to try to solve a problem. Okay, that's it. ये सारे वेरिएंट्स तो मैं आज नहीं करा पाऊंगा, बट जो मैंने कोर्स लॉन्च किया है द मोस्ट इकोनॉमिकल, आई थिंक 1000 रुपीज का, जिसमें सारी रिकॉर्डेड वीडियोस है, दैट विल कवर प्रीटी मच ऑल द वेरिएंट्स दैट यू नीड. ओके, आई विल आल्सो कवर कि उसमें क्या क्या इंक्लूडेड है इन द सब्सिक्वेंट पार्ट ऑफ इट. सो नाउ टेल मी, आई नो इट इज व्हाट, क्या टाइम हो गया, इट इज 10:48, 40 मिनट्स हो गए. आर यू गाइज इन ए स्टेट टू सॉल्व सम डिसीजन मेकिंग सेट्स? आर यू एक्साइटेड? लेट मी नो. बेसिस दैट विल स्टार्ट, एल्स विल ट्राई टू रैप अप द सेशन. बताओ मुझे. Batman and Joker, all the parties involved, praise questions, okay, para questions, but eliminating 4 options for each questions will be time consuming, right? So the extra time given is doing in this. Abhishek Shankar, yes, you are sort of correct, but see, it also depends कि what is the type of caselet that you're solving. Ideally options इतने बड़े नहीं होते हैं, these are like short lines के sentences होते हैं, that we'll just see. But हाँ, इसीलिए specifically decision making में थोड़ा सा time लग भी जाता है. Okay, तो ऐसा तो होगा, देखो, no one will be able to solve 100% questions. You'll have to leave questions that you'll have to decide कि यार एक question को करने में, क्वांट का एक question करने में अगर तुमको 3 मिनट लग रहा है, तो डिसीजन मेकिंग का एक क्वेश्चन करने में अगर तुमको 1.5 मिनट लग रहा है, यू मे वांट टू सॉल्व मोर ऑफ डिसीजन मेकिंग क्वेश्चंस इवन इफ क्वांट इज योर स्ट्रेंथ. वो कॉल तुमको प्रैक्टिस से लेना पड़ेगा वंस यू स्टार्ट टेकिंग मॉक्स. ओके, सर डिस्काउंट अभी भी है ना, वेबसाइट लुक्स 50% ऑफ दिख रहा है. यस वैष्णव, फॉर ऑल द बैच स्टूडेंट्स आई थिंक वो डिस्काउंट अभी भी चालू है. ओनली फॉर द बैच स्टूडेंट्स 50% डिस्काउंट अभी चालू है. यस, for a couple of days. Ashin, previous year paper are enough for decision making? Yes. Previous year के paper right from 2008, I will say 2008. By the way, there are only 2 to 3 students who want to solve some sets. Others, do you want me to wrap up? I can do it. I have prepared actually 5-6 questions. I wanted you to solve. अगर नहीं करना तो मुझे बता दो. I will be happy to wrap up the section. But I would be able to do it only if I see enough comments here saying कि हाँ करना है. Okay, and Priyam, yes, एक क्रैश कोर्स है, मैं उसका डिटेल लास्ट में बताऊंगा. Okay, yes, there is a crash course, Priyam, you can discuss me. Yes, I was talking about decision making का practice कैसे करना है. I think सबसे first thing that everyone has to do is 2008 till 2021 के papers सारे कर लो. ठीक है, solve all these papers, 13-14 papers होंगे. इनको ऑफलाइन वर्जन में नहीं मिल रहा तो कहाँ से लाना है? ZAT की वेबसाइट पे जाओ, वहाँ पे सारे पेपर्स अवेलेबल है. zatonline.ac.in, I think that is the website. Go to the website, solve all the questions that is given there and then solve them. Okay, आंसर की भी वहाँ पे अवेलेबल रहती है. If you're not able to find it, ग्रुप पे पूछ लो यार, don't try to ask me personally. मैं भी यही करूँगा. I'll search on Google, I'll go to the ZAT की वेबसाइट, I'll download it and then share it with you. So you can also do the same thing. ये क्वेश्चंस तो सबको करने ही है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, इफ यू हैव टेकन एनी मॉक सीरीज, टाइम, IMS, CL, कोई भी क्रैक यू, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, एनी टेस्ट सीरीज दैट यू हैव टेकन दैट इज गिविंग यू सम डिसीजन मेकिंग क्वेश्चंस, डू इट. ओके, ऑल्सो इफ देयर इज इनफ डिमांड, मैं भी फेसबुक पे विल ऑल्सो ट्राई टू कंडक्ट अ फ्यू इवेंट्स. if you guys want, we can also conduct some free open events if you want. Okay, यहाँ पे मेन इशू लेकिन ये होगा डिसीजन मेकिंग में, दैट यू वुड सॉल्व अ क्वेश्चन, ठीक है, तुम्हारा आंसर मान लो बी आ गया, जेड ने आंसर दिया सी, तो टाइम थोड़ा सा वेस्ट होता है कि यार मेरा बी गलत क्यों है, सी क्यों सही है, एंड देन पीपल विल ट्राई अच्छा सी इसलिए सही है बिकॉज ऑफ दिस. जो मेजर मिस्टेक्स विच मेनी स्टूडेंट्स विल डू बाय डूइंग सेल्फ प्रेप इज दे विल नॉट ट्राई टू डिफेंड कि उनका बी गलत क्यों है. डिसीजन मेकिंग में अनलेस यू स्टार्ट लर्निंग व्हाई इज योर आंसर रॉन्ग, तब तक कुछ होगा नहीं डिसीजन मेकिंग में. यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू सॉल्व एनी न्यू गुड केसलेट, राइट, ठीक है. अनदर थिंग पर्टिकुलरली फॉर दैट दैट आई वांटेड टू कन्वे, क्वांट थोड़ा सा लेंदी आता है तो क्वेश्चंस देख लेना प्रैक्टिस, एटलीस्ट फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स हु हैव अ लॉट ऑफ ईगो इन क्वांट. इतना ईगो मत रखना, ज़ैट में ईगो पे लात पड़ती है, ट्रस्ट मी ऑन क्वांट, ठीक है, मेरे भी पड़ी थी. सो आई एम टेलिंग यू, गो विद अ फ्री माइंड, इजी लगे तो करो, डिफिकल्ट लगे VARC पे फोकस करो एंड डिसीजन मेकिंग पे फोकस करो, ठीक है. थर्ड थिंग, RCs में दे कैन ऑल्सो गिव यू पॉइंट्स. आई थिंक 2019 वॉज द टाइम जब मैं गया था पेपर देने, एंड फर्स्ट सेक्शन वो जो मैं अटेम्प्ट कर रहा था दैट वाज VARC, बिकॉज VARC वॉज माई वीकेस्ट एरिया. मैं सबसे पहले जाके मैंने VARC किया क्योंकि आई वॉन्टेड टू बी इन माई 100% फोकस स्टेट व्हेन आई एम ट्राइंग टू अटेम्प्ट एनी ऑफ माई वीकर सेक्शन. पहला सेट जो बड़ा सा आया वो पूरी पोइम थी, काफी लंबी चौड़ी पोइम थी, बहुत सारे उसमें वोकैबुलरी के वर्ड्स थे, मुझे नहीं समझा, आई जस्ट लेफ्ट दैट पर्टिकुलर पैसेज. बट हाँ, द पॉइंट इज पोइम्स भी आती है ज़ैट में. ओके सर, हाउ टू चेक रिस्पॉन्सिबल रीजन फॉर रॉन्ग? अनुराग, फॉर दैट आई एम सेइंग उसके लिए या तो ग्रुप में डिस्कस करो या फिर ये वीडियो वाला सेल्फ लर्निंग कोर्स देख सकते हो. टेक्सचुअल वो चीज ज़ैट की वेबसाइट पे आई डोंट थिंक उन्होंने रीजनिंग भी दी है, दे हैव जस्ट गिवन द आंसर, यू विल हैव टू सर्च ऑनलाइन, वहां पे जाके टाइम इन्वेस्ट करना पड़ेगा, दैट्स द ओनली वे. और जो भी ग्रुप फॉर्म किया है वहां पे सब लोग सिमिलर पेपर कर लो एंड देन स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग इट. आई थिंक अनुराग, मैंने ऑलरेडी एक बैच स्टूडेंट का अलग से ग्रुप बना रखा है, वहां पे 100-120 स्टूडेंट्स है. स्टार्ट डूइंग इट, डेली एक एक पेपर उठाओ, सब लोग करो, शाम में जूम पे जाओ, स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग क्वेश्चंस, दैट कैन बी वन गुड प्रोडक्टिव वे. ओके, so let's solve some question. Okay, I see some response, let's see. So this is the question. I'll give everyone 2.5 minutes, read the question and comment me your answers. What do you think is the right answer to this question, and then I will discuss it. Very important, don't try to leave कि यार ज्ञान हो गया तो चल छोड़ दो, ये चीज सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. इसमें हम लोग को रैशनल बिल्ड करेंगे that how do we think for any decision making questions. Okay, try to, plus do not try to overthink. Simple से पैसेज है, पढ़ो, नीचे ऑप्शन है, read it and just tell me the first answer that comes to your mind. Okay, meanwhile I'll also try to read with you guys. Mrs. Jan, okay, has been leading business managers in the world of business and has established her credentials in a world dominated by men. She has primarily worked in the industry and has extensive knowledge of the field. She recently started her own cosmetic firm and has decided to make sure that females find adequate representations in her company. Okay, so this is her goal when she started the company, that females had adequate representations in her company. Okay, because जहाँ से वो आई थी वहाँ पे उसको लगा था कि यार men dominated sectors होते हैं. Then in her experiences in the cosmetic industry, she has generally seen that the sales and the marketing wings of most companies are dominated by men. Okay, keeping this in mind, she has decided to employ at least 50% females in the sales and marketing department of a company. Okay, now which of the following could be the most serious issue that Mrs. Jain might face with a decision. Okay, we have mixed answers. Ankur says 1, Bhuvnesh 3, Paras 1, Palak C, Vaishnav 3, Arshan 3, Abhishek 3, Shubham Kumar 3. Okay, others? Give it a shot. There are enough people here, come on. सी यहाँ पे अटेम्प्ट करोगे तो नेगेटिव नहीं है, जैट में करोगे तो नेगेटिव हो जाएगा. सो अटेम्प्ट द क्वेश्चन. ओके ओके fair. So let's try to solve it, guys, and I think all of you should really pay attention to what I'm saying because majority of you are wrong. Yes, the answer is not C. Okay, so let's pay attention कि डिसीजन मेकिंग में नेगेटिव क्यों होती है, हमने क्या सोच के 3 मार्क किया एंड ऐसा क्यों नहीं है. लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, डिबेट ओवर इट. ओके, others would make you a part of patriarchal. Okay, so let's discuss it. इस given case में क्या है, the given prompt it behaves more like a critical reasoning type का सेट है. एक पैसेज given है, नीचे 5 ऑप्शन है जैसा मैंने बताया था. ठीक है, सिंगल टाइप का क्वेश्चन है कि सिंगल क्वेश्चन है, पीसेस द पैसेज. ओके, यहाँ पे जो मिसेस जैन है उनका उसको मेन प्रॉब्लम क्या एड्रेस करना है कि जेंडर इक्वालिटी पे शी हैज टू फोकस, राइट. सो शी हैज टू मेक श्योर दैट विमेन का रिप्रेजेंटेशन इज एज इक्वल एज मेन का रिप्रेजेंटेशन. ओके, एंड हेंस जो भी वो सॉल्यूशन फाइनली डिसाइड करेगी उसमें द फोकस शुड बी टू हैव अ सिलेक्शन क्राइटेरिया बेसिस कि मेरा जेंडर डाइवर्सिटी इफेक्ट ना हो. ठीक है, फीमेल का रिप्रेजेंटेशन कम नहीं होना चाहिए. सो नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट लुकिंग एट द ऑप्शंस. ऑप्शन नंबर 1, the job might have travel requirements that might pose a challenge for the females. Okay, so first option कह रहा है कि यार because sales and marketing की जॉब है, सी मुझे वो निकालना है जो मिसेस जैन माइट फेस विद द डिसीजन, जो उसका डिसीजन है कि मैं ज्यादा फीमेल्स को एम्प्लॉय करूंगी, उसके लिए क्या थ्रेट हो सकता है. दैट इज द ऑप्शन दैट यू हैव टू चूज. ऑप्शन नंबर 1 इज ऑफ कोर्स दिस केसलेट इज स्लाइटली कंफ्यूजिंग. ओके, यहाँ पे ये थोड़ा सा कंट्रोवर्शियल सेट है, इसीलिए मैंने ये लिया है कि ऐसे सेट में हाउ डू वी थिंक. ऑप्शन नंबर 1, द जॉब माइट हैव ट्रैवल रिक्वायरमेंट्स दैट माइट पोज अ चैलेंज फॉर फीमेल्स. ओके, इसमें थोड़ा सा अंडरलाइंग अजम्पशन है कि यार ट्रैवलिंग है तो फीमेल्स को ट्रैवल रिक्वायरमेंट्स में चैलेंज होता है. दैट इज वन अंडरलाइंग अजम्पशन. यस, अग्रीड, वो एक अजम्पशन है. बट देन अगर ऐसा हुआ कि ठीक है, अगर ट्रैवल रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ कोर्स बिकॉज सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग की जॉब है तो इट माइट हैव ट्रैवल रिक्वायरमेंट्स, हो सकती है. ठीक है, अगर सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग की जॉब में ट्रैवल रिक्वायरमेंट हुई तो ये फीमेल्स को प्रॉब्लम कर सकती है. फोकस ऑन द वर्ड माइट, इट इज नॉट सेइंग विल डेफिनेटली डू इट. अगर वो विल कहता तो ऑफ कोर्स ये एक्सट्रीम स्टेटमेंट हो जाता बिकॉज आई एम ट्राइंग टू पुट माई ओन अजम्पशन. इट इज सेइंग माइट. माइट इज अ वेरी न्यूट्रल वर्ड. ठीक है, बहुत ही कम नेगेटिव. वो कह रहा है कि लाइकलीहुड है. सो यस, दिस कैन बी ट्रू, वी डोंट नो. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट अदर ऑप्शंस अभी. Option number 2 is females have an intrinsic understanding of the use of cosmetics that men do not have. Yes, वो कह रहा है अगर females को understanding है cosmetics में, इसीलिए तो so this is in a way sort of supporting her decision, right? It is not really posing any challenge to it. ये तो support कर रहा है कि females have more understanding of cosmetic industries and hence I should employ at least 50% females in sales and marketing department of my company. So of course this is supporting the decision, this is not posing a threat to it. तो option 2 तो नहीं होगा, 2 नहीं होगा तो 5th भी मेरा आंसर नहीं होगा, right? Then 3rd, it is not necessary that females wish to take up these roles. Okay, ऐसा हो सकता है कि मेरे को फीमेल्स एम्प्लॉय करना है बट फीमेल्स रोल्स ना ले. ठीक है, मतलब लेट्स सी. 4th is men are better at sales than females. ये तो बहुत ही एक्सट्रीम ऑप्शन है, राइट? मैं कहीं गिवन नहीं है कि men बेटर है, प्लस इसीलिए उसको फीमेल ज्यादा एम्प्लॉय करने हैं ताकि ये डाइवर्सिटी मेंटेन रहे. बट ऑप्शन नंबर 4 बहुत एक्सट्रीम है. वो कह रहा है कि यार मेन बेटर होते हैं, मेन आर बेटर एट सेल्स देन फीमेल्स. अगेन अ वेरी एक्सट्रीम ऑप्शन. पर्सनल बायस इसमें इन्वॉल्व है. वी अवॉइड सच ऑप्शंस एंड हेंस आंसर कैन नॉट बी 4. सो आंसर हैज टू बी ईदर 1 or 3. राइट, देन अभी देखते हैं हम ऑप्शन नंबर 3 पे. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी दैट फीमेल्स विश टू टेक अप दीज रोल्स. ओके, सी ऑप्शन नंबर 3 क्या कह रहा है? वो कह रहा है कि यार मुझे एज अ हेड ऑफ ए कंपनी आई नीड टू एम्प्लॉय एटलीस्ट 50% फीमेल्स इन द सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ माई कंपनी. और वो यहाँ कह रहा है, सी व्हेन आई एम एन एम्प्लॉय, मुझे 50% फीमेल्स अगर लेने हैं तो सी यूजुअली कंपनीज आर व्हाट लाइक सप्लाई ड्रिवन, राइट? डिमांड ड्रिवन नहीं होती. क्योंकि इंडिया है तो वहां पे ऑफ कोर्स सारे लोग हैं हु ट्राई टू लुक आउट फॉर जॉब्स एंड एनीवेज फीमेल्स को जॉब नहीं मिलती. सो ऑप्शन नंबर थर्ड इस तरीके से इट इज नॉट रियली गिविंग मी एनी कोर कंक्लूजन, राइट. वो कह रहा है कि बेबी फीमेल्स जिसको मुझे हायर करना है दे डू नॉट रियली विश टू टेक अप दीज रोल्स. ये तो मेल के साथ भी हो सकता है, राइट, कि मुझे मेल चाहिए, मेल को जॉब नहीं लेना, राइट. तो ये बहुत ही न्यूट्रल स्टेटमेंट है, ये सिर्फ बहुत जनरल एक स्टेटमेंट है. इट इज नॉट रियली गिविंग एनी कंक्लूजन टुवर्ड्स द फाइनल ऑब्जेक्टिव कि क्या इससे फीमेल्स नहीं आएगी या आएगी. ऐसा मैं कुछ कंक्लूसिव नहीं बोल सकता हूँ. यस, थोड़ा सा इंडिकेशन है बट इतना एक्सट्रीम इंडिकेशन नहीं है. ओके, और फोर्थ और फिफ्थ तो हमने पहले से ही अवॉइड कर दिया. अब क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 में जाते हैं. बिकॉज क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 में माइट वर्ड यूज में लिया है, देन दैट कैन बी वन ऑफ द पॉइंटर्स. बिकॉज ऐसा हो सकता है, ऐसी सेल्स इन मार्केटिंग में ट्रैवलिंग होती है, एंड ट्रैवलिंग में मे बी ट्रैवलिंग इज ओवरसीज, विमेन are married, they have to take care of their families, etc. etc. थोड़ा सा assumption है, but yes, because ये word might है, so yes, I would say between 1 and 3, I would have slightly chosen 1 over 3, because third से मुझे कुछ conclusive नहीं पता चल रहा है. It is not really trying to pose any threat, because वो बहुत ही neutral statement है. This problem can happen with anyone. So I would go with 1. However, अगर 1 में might की जगह will statement होता that the job will have travel requirements that will pose a challenge for females, I would have removed ऑप्शन नंबर 1 बिकॉज वो काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंटिमेंट हो गया. बिकॉज माइट वर्ड है इसलिए आई वुड गो विद ऑप्शन नंबर 1. आई थिंक हमने काफी डिटेल में डिस्कस किया इस ऑप्शन को. डज दिस मेक सम सेंस कि ऑप्शन 1 मैंने क्यों चूज किया एंड ऑप्शन 3 क्यों नहीं है. ऑप्शन 1 एंड 3 आर एक्सट्रीमली वेरी क्लोज. ओके ओके Abhishek, I'll try to explain in English. You said fourth. How can fourth be? Fourth is definitely not an answer, right? Because it says that men are better at sales than females. It's a very, very, very extreme thing, right? Who says that men are better than females? No one, right? Great. So with this, let's move on to the next question. This is the question, and I'm very, very, very sure everyone will be able to solve this question, okay? Let's see. You have 2 minutes for this set. Time starts now. Okay, Vaishnav, you asked one question. See, when you just have to think from the stakeholder point of view. In the last question, the stakeholder was that Mrs. Jain, right? So you have to think from her point of view. Okay, so here you don't have to think from author's point of view. Here you have to think from the stakeholder's point of view. Stakeholder approach, I have also discussed it in detail later on. Okay, others would make you part of patriarchal. Okay, fair. No, I took like in some questions they will mention like if the following options are true, which most weakens the author. I thought like that, so only thought 4 is possible. Okay. No, Abhishek, even in such cases you would try to avoid extreme options. You never go for extreme options. Men are better than women. Avoid such statements at all. They can never be the answers. Okay, because that sentence is factually incorrect. Men are not better than women, and because that pays a lot of focus on ethics, neutrality. So avoid such options. Okay. Okay, good. 5-6 people have already answered this. The question says you're the HR manager of your organization. There's a hard-working employee, Ayush. Do we have any Ayush here? The hard-working one. In terms of behavior, effort, and diligence, Ayush is one of the top most employees in the company. The issue is that the company is a call center for a US-based company, and the Ayush communication skills are not up to the level. Okay, even after being given training. Okay, which means Ayush has been trained, but even after doing that, Ayush has not been able to improve his communication skills. Okay, you are the HR manager. You know that there's an employee who is really, really hardworking. Okay. And he is in fact one of the most top employees, which means he is valuable to you, to your company. Okay, but the problem with him is the kind of project that he's working with, it has some call centric work to be done, right? In which he's not good because his communication skill is not really great. So now what do you do in this particular scenario? I think everyone who has answered this question is absolutely correct. As I said, yes, this was slightly on an easier one, and see, you were able to do this question within 1 minute, and that is the beauty of decision making. So of course, but let's also understand why other options are not correct. Option number 1, ask I used to leave. By the way, Shubham, haven't seen your answer. Shivam, your answer is missing. Nandini, your answer is missing. Mayur, answer is missing. Ankur, I haven't seen your answer. Come on. Try to answer. Okay. So option number 1, ask I used to leave. A very, 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 very extreme option. I would never go with such options in XAT. You cannot ask an employee to leave just because he's weaker in some segment. Provide another training to Ayush. Okay. But why would you do it? You have already trained Ayush. Even after giving him enough training, he's not able to improve his communication skill. Why as an HR you want to waste your own time, effort and money? You would not give him another training because you have done it in the past. It has not proved to be futile. Find another job for Ayush. Okay. Find another job for Ayush. How can you as an HR give him another company's job, right? You can't find another job for Ayush. How would that solve the problem? Okay. What if that job also has a rule which requires him to sort of call the different candidate? Plus, how can I ask my employer that, okay, you just leave my company and then I'll find another job to you? Doesn't look significant to me, because 1, 2, 3 is wrong, 5th has to be wrong. So by elimination method, 4th is the only answer that is correct. Plus 4th also makes sense because it says change the job role of Ayush, which means do not make him call. He is a hardworking candidate. He is really great. He is one of the topmost employees. Give him some other role. As simple as that. So yes, this was an easier one. So answer has to be 4. Okay, great. I think with this we have completed 2 questions. Let's move on to a different type of question. Here is question number 3. Because I've taken a screenshot, font may be slightly shady. Try to focus. Okay, this is the 3rd set. Slightly different in nature. Okay. Try to solve this set, slightly longer, but I think an interesting one. You learn something new. So attempt this. By the way, by the end of this, I think we just have 2 more sets. By the end of it, I have a good announcement to make. So stick to the session. We'll be able to wrap up in next 15-20 minutes. You are an HR, okay? You are an HR manager in the HR department of some company. See, when you read a caselet, how do you read it? You are an HR manager. Then you will not read in the HR department of Vikash Educational Charitable Trust. This is a redundant garbage information to me. I would not read any of it. I'm an HR. I organize and support recruitment and training. I provide some support for disciplinary investigations and keep personal record of staff, okay? Which means all the staff, of course, I as an HR would know who is there in my company and what does he do. So yes, this is an important information to me. I report to Ms. Dilipa, one of the 2 senior HR managers who reports to the HR director. So HR reports to senior HR managers who report to HR director. For the post of consultant professor in the trust, okay, this is one of the posts for which I have 2 candidates, Mr. Rana and Mr. Charan. Okay, were interviewed. Mr. Charan was selected as he was considered to be academically gifted with impressive leadership skill. Okay, Charan was selected because he had good leadership skills, even though he had less experience. Okay, which means experience of Rana was higher than the experience of Charan. Still, Charan was selected because he had better leadership skills. 3 days later, Mr. Rana came to your office, okay, me as an HR, I'm the HR manager, okay. He came to my office complaining that the selection was unfair. I had more experience than Charan, so why am I not selected for this particular job? This is what he complained to me, okay. So which of the following is the best way to handle the issues raised by Rana? Is the caselet clear to everyone? Quite simple. Okay, I think we have variety of answers this time. Let me first of all have a look at the answers. people are saying 4A, 1A, C, 1D, A, D, D. Okay. D. Okay. Let's see. Let's see, guys. I will not disclose the answer, else I know you would just go away. Stick to it. A lot of you have got minus 0.25 in this question. Let's see this. Okay. Let's see. I have 5 options given. First is something that tell Mr. Rana that you empathize with him, but the process, okay, you are telling him, you as an HR, I am an HR, I'm telling this person that, okay, I do understand your concern, but the process was fair and the details of assessment could be shared with you. Okay, I'm an HR, I already keep personal records hai mere paas, so I can share the details and the process was fair. I'm sticking to my stand. This is what the statement A says. Fair enough, sounds good. I don't see any fundamental issue with this particular option, but let's go with other options. First of all, use elimination method before choosing the more correct option. Okay. Second option is tell Mr. Rana that if he's interested, he could write to the HR director and he would act as per the director's receipt. Okay. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? यार मैं Mr. Rana को कह रहा हूँ, okay, I don't have to use English, Hindi, right? Okay, I'll try to use English. So here what I'm essentially doing is I'm telling this guy, hey, if I have made my decision, if you do not agree with my decision, you can report to my higher authority. Okay. And then whatever that guy says, I would do as per him. Okay. So here I, as an HR employer, I am portraying an image of a puppet to this person, right? What I'm saying is, hey man, I don't have any control over any decision of the company. I just do what my top manager says to me. Of course, as an HR manager, you would never say such thing, right? Because here, what you're trying to do is you're just saying that you're just trying to run away from the problem. You're saying, go and talk to someone else. This is not my department, although this department does belong to you because you are the HR manager. Okay. And even if he does it, what will happen? The top authority will probably do the same thing, right? So by doing this, the problem that the Rana has raised will not be resolved. I'm just trying to delegate the problem to someone else. So yes, we will avoid option number B. Is it clear to everyone that why option number B should not be an answer? Moving on to option number C. Offer tea to Mr. Rana. Okay, you will ask Rana, hey buddy, just come to my office. We'll have some snacks, some biscuit and some tea. And you will say that yes, I understand why you're upset. Let him have a bit of moan and help him get it out of his system. Okay. So here what essentially is happening is I, as an HR manager, I know that yes, I'm correct. And this person has come to me complaining that no, process is not right. So here again, you're not trying to solve the problem. You're just saying that yes, I do understand your feeling, man, but I can't really do anything. Let's just sit down. Let's just abuse the system. And I am, as an HR manager, I'm allowing the employee of a company to abuse the system, to sort of say anything, to moan, to sort of say anything to the process, say that yes, process is not fair, but yes, that is how it is. Okay. So again, I'm trying to abuse the system, and this is not good because I, as an HR manager, I know that I am technically right. So I don't want to give him that impression that, hey, the process is not fair. Okay. So I do not really want to compromise, and hence I will not choose option number C. Option number D says, tell Mr. Rana that the institute finds the right person for the job and not the one who has been around the longest. Okay. Looks decent. Of course, looks decent because I've told him that, hey, although you have higher work X, but that is not what the position is for, right? And hence the institute has to find a person who is a right fit for the job. Okay. Let's see what is right about this option or what is wrong. Okay. Before choosing the right answer, let's move on to option number E, which says warn him that his complaint will be construed as blah blah blah. Okay. Again, E is like a very, very extreme option. You're just saying you're scaring him that, hey, you cannot complain to me. Of course, employees can of course reach out to the HR manager, but here as an HR manager, I'm directly saying him that you cannot make any complaints to me. If you do it, it will be, I'll take the revenge and I'll depromote you. I'll affect your subsequent rating cycles. Of course, E is an extreme option. I will avoid E. I hope no one said E, right? E is like the direct elimination thing. Bit kind of rude. Fair. Great. I'm glad no one said E, right? E is absolutely not an answer. Now, the main question, A and D. See, in option number A, it looks slightly better because here that image of an HR that is coming out is, see, hey Rana, I'm quite confident. Yes, the process is right. We have chosen the right person and the process is fair. Okay. So main issue of Mr. Rana is that the process was unfair. So here I'm making a stand, process was fair, and I can share the details of the assessment, that why this particular person was selected, because leadership probably had higher weightage than you. In option number D, what is happening is, it looks slightly redundant to me, as I'm just reiterating the same point that Mr. Rana already knows. Rana already knows that he has higher work X, right? And here I'm reiterating the same point that, hey, the institute has just found the right candidate. He has not really found the one who has been the longest. So essentially, I'm just giving the same information to him. I'm not resolving the problem. That is why D looks slightly less correct to me as compared to A. A looks more prominent to me, hence I would choose A option over D. And yes, the correct answer of this question is also A and not D. Clear, everyone? Everyone who said B, C, D, E, is it clear why your options are not right as compared to A? Right? Because see, in D, you're saying that, hey, you are not the right candidate for the job. How can an HR manager say me that I'm not the right candidate? I can rather say him that the other one may be better. I can show you the process because of these parameters, the other one is selected, but you're not the right person. I don't think any HR manager would ever say to its employee, right? See, good point is, you're saying that confidential information. See, it is not given to us that this information is confidential, right? The only statement that I am as an HR is making is, I can share the detail of the assessment. Of course, see, whenever you are being rated by your manager does share the details, right? That why are you given a rating of say 4 on 5, why you are given a rating of say 2 on 5. He does share to you that these are the 5 parameters. You did well in these areas, you did not do well in these areas, and you have a lot of scope of improvement in these areas. Because of a weighted average, this is the final rating. So yes, these sort of details should of course be made available to the candidate who has applied. If you apply for any job, if you are not selected, if you are rejected, the respective company should mention it to you that this is why you are rejected, or like this is why you are selected, right? But is sharing details right? So yes, I've already explained, Paras, what sort of details are being shared. That does matter. Okay, here he may not have to share the details of Charan. He can just share the details of the process, that these are the weightage, these are the parameters. Okay, with this, let's move on to the next question, probably the last question before I reveal the surprise to everyone. Okay, not last, I'll say second last. Okay, by the way, if you guys are bored, if you are sleepy, tell me, I would skip on to this part. I can give you this as a homework, you can attempt it and then come back. Tell me, do you want to attempt it right now with me, or do you want to skip it? Again, this is an interesting and a different variant. Okay, okay, fair. Please attempt. Good. I'm glad at least there are some students, others I'm not sure. What is so important to them than understanding decision making? But yeah, I hope students who are here, at least they get benefited out of this session. At least you should have that base that, okay, from tomorrow onwards, if you're about to start the preparation, you already have a baseline in place and you will just build over it. Okay, so read this. Again, this is a sequence based question where 5 sequences are given. You have to choose the best sequence. Okay, buck up, I'll just give you 2 minutes. We are about to finish it. This is an important variant. You may not be able to find justification and more of such questions online or in the previous Yes, right. So this is an important variant. Pay full attention. Meanwhile, I'll just read the set for everyone. There's some hospital, they seek to improve the success rate. Okay. So their objective is मुझे success rate बढ़ाना है and patient satisfaction मुझे बढ़ाना है by 100% in the next year. However, the management cannot afford to send doctors for professional development outside the country, nor afford purchasing more equipment. Okay. Which means there is some sort of financial constraint, some sort of financial outburst in the company, because of which manager is slightly tight on their pockets, and hence they cannot afford to put any money either on the training or to get more infrastructure. As an in-house measure, the managing board thought of having doctors with high patient satisfaction to mentor those with less. Patient satisfaction क्या होता है? हर डॉक्टर का हर patient, every patient rates the doctors, okay, and those doctors जिनको rating ज़्यादा मिलता है, those doctors have high patient satisfaction, that this doctor was able to satisfy more patient as compared to others. That is simple patient satisfaction, okay. So in-house measure क्या था? The doctors with high, that some of the doctors will be mentoring other doctors. Sounds good to me. People who are good, they should be able to mentor someone who is not good as per the patients. But most of the doctors found it as an interference by the management, judgmental, and an expression of distrust. Now just imagine the plight. For example, if I say to you that, okay, hey, you two are preparing for XAT, I choose one of the persons, say Shubham Kumar, and I choose Bhuvnesh. If I say Shubham Kumar, you will have to mentor Bhuvnesh Kumar, right? How would this guy Bhuvnesh feel? He would feel, yaar, we two belong to the same age group. How the hell will Shubham teach me or like mentor me? Doesn't make any sense. We belong to the same age group, or we belong to the same segment, and everyone is equal. So you will start having ego issues, right? And which is exactly what is happening here. Most of the doctors are saying that no. And these are those doctors will have lower patient satisfaction. They are saying it's not our fault. Patients are not rating us well, which is okay. So we will not be overshadowed. We don't want other doctors to sort of interfere in our work. Okay, we will not do it. And however, what they proposed is have that some isolated few who found it a novel way of learning from each other. Of course, some said that it is good. It will help us in learning from the ones who are really good. But other doctors felt that the management should instead increase the consultancy fees. Okay, so what they are proposing is that increase the consultancy fees. Consultancy fees is what? The fees that you charge to the patient. So what they are saying is, patient say the amount that you take, increase that amount, use that amount and spend more on recruiting more paramedics who could spend more time with the patients rather than blame the doctors, and decided to call it quits. So what is happening is these doctors are suggesting you charge more money to the patients, you take more money from them, use that money to hire more helping hands. Where paramedics is what? Helping hands to the doctors, nurses and all. Hire more doctors, have them with the patient so that patient always feel personalized, that yes, I am being looked after by someone. Okay. So do not blame us, because we are doctors. We of course cannot be with patients all the time. You hire more paramedics who can be with these patients and can help them fulfilling their needs. So this is what they proposed. But for the management, it would mean they would lose on the patients, right? Because I am charging more to the patient. If I start increasing the cost to patients will be lesser, right? Of course. So this is the problem. This is a perfect management problem, right? A very interesting one rather. Now let's see. There are 5 actions. I have to find the correct sequence which is most appropriate for the hospital administration in achieving their goal. Okay. Goal क्या है यहाँ पे? Goal is to improve the success rate and patient satisfaction rate, and constraint is I cannot afford much, right? I am tight on my financial constraint, so I know it for a fact. So I would not take any step which involves a cost to the company. Okay. Because this is a sequence. So by the way, option number 5 and option number 5, option 1 and option 5 are different, right? First says first 4, then 5, then 2. Option number 5 says first 5, then 4, then 2. So sequencing also matters here. So let's look at the options now. Okay, option number 1, conduct a survey of all the stakeholders and ascertain their needs and suggestions. Okay, all the stakeholders, you just form and you just share some anonymous form with everyone so that everyone puts down their suggestion. Then second point is, looks decent to me. Second point is build consensus among the doctors and paramedics on a possible way forward. Okay. So second point is saying you sort of talk to these doctors and you try to discuss with them, make them in at some stage ki, okay, what is it that we can do, discuss problems with them, and then build a consensus before taking any decision. Okay. Third is prepare an action plan that details the roadmap along with financial implication, of course, because financial constraint is there, so you will have to of course do something which considers financial implication to the company. Third also looks good. Fourth is design differential service packages based on affordability of the patients. Okay. The point number 4 says that you start charging differently to the patient. So you, whenever any patient comes to you, you discuss that, hey man, are you rich or are you poor? Basis their affordability, you make different service packages to them. Maybe you charge higher to the to the rich segment of patients, and you charge lower to the lower segment of patient. This is what option number 4 says, which of course looks very, very, very extreme. It is nowhere mentioned. Why? Because see, ultimately you have to increase patient satisfaction index, right? And it is not given that patient satisfaction index is only because of the higher income patient. It is not given to you, right? So why do you want to have any differential thing? It will look as a bias to the company. You of course do not want to have any negative fame to your company. Okay, so of course design differential service packages. You don't want to have any of it. Differential service packages can also mean that you try to focus more on rich people and rather than the poor patients. But how do you know that the lower patient satisfaction index is only because of the rich people and not poor people? You don't know it. So I will directly avoid option number 4, which means if fourth should not be in my option, so first gaya, second is gone, and fifth is gone because it includes fourth, which means answer has to be either 3 or 4. Now I will look at option number 5. Run a brainstorming session among the leading doctors of the area. Okay. Option number 5 says that you just choose some of the doctors, you run some brainstorming session with them. So see, try to understand what option number, what the fifth statement says. It just says you that you are trying to do the same thing. You are again trying to create a bias, right? This proposal will again be not accepted. Why? Because doctors were feeling a sense of biased, a sense of differentiation to them. And again, if you just choose some of the leading doctors, discuss the proposal only with them, how would it solve the problem which is occurring to the lower people, right? So 5 does not look that correct to me. So option number 3 is the only option. Again, we'll see. This looks like more of a marketing problem. So again, first step that you do is you identify the need. To identify the need, you will launch a survey, let everyone fill in their feedback. Second thing is, once that is done, you will try to talk to everyone and build a roadmap. These are the different possible solutions. Once that is done, then you will decide on the final solution. So of course, 1, 2, 3, option number 3 is the direct and the perfect answer. There should not be any confusion in this. Answer is option 3. Any questions here? Adaptive charging, lol. Okay. I think everyone has answered the same thing. 3. But 5 says all doctors in the area, which has no role here. Correct. That is also true. A good point, Abhishek. It also says option number 5 that among the leading doctors of the area. Why do you want to have all the doctors of the area when you're only talking about your hospital, right? So that covers this part. This is the last question. Okay. But I will rather leave this question as a homework to everyone. Give it a thought and comment your answers in the video section. Okay, I will check and I will reveal the answer somewhere in the comment section. Okay, so this I will give as a homework, and with this let me move on to the final slide, which talks about, so I think yesterday only I've launched this decision making self-learning course. Okay, so you can learn at your own pace. The fees is, hence, because this is a self-learning thing and not live, so the fees is kept like very, very economical, just rupees 1,000. Here what will be given to you will be, you will be essentially covered all the variants of decision making, covering critical reasoning, behavioral questions, logical questions, ethical dilemma, there are some mathematical type of questions as well which comes in decision making. I have also made a session and uploaded here as a part of the course. Case-led, situation, logical, quant-based, real-world problems. All of these 9 variants are covered in this package. Okay, so these will be recorded videos. Okay, these and these will be given to you. And what all things does it include? It includes a total of 15 sessions. Approximate duration is around 1.5 hours per session. Okay, these are like live class discussions which will be given to you in the form of recorded sessions. Okay, pretty much it should help you, because these are like explanations that you have done, that why option number 1 is not correct and why option number B is correct. Okay, videos were made by me, one another Prepzone founder, and a 99.8 percentiler in XAT decision making section of 2019 area, right? So we three have worked together to make this video. So yes, this is what will be given to you. Okay, so yes, this is what the course includes. If you have any question, you can ask me right now. Okay, by the way, for I think CAT response sheet should be out in a day or two. There were a lot of questions, and we have already launched the GDPI course. A couple of students have already enrolled because seats are limited. If in case the response sheet is out and you have a decent score, even if you have a good NMAT score, don't wait for the results to be out. Start early to get an advantage. Okay, the course is already launched. Okay, we will start within a week. Okay, so that's all from my side. I hope it was a good 2-hour session, 1.5 hour session, and you learned some basic fundamentals. And I'll be here for next 1 or 2 minutes to take any question that you have. Okay, Prasanna says, after the surprise, yes, surprise was this decision making self-learning course was the surprise. Okay, Prasanna, and doubt solving in the sense, it will be a group where I'll be there and other students will also be there. So in case you have any doubts in any caselet, we'll try to solve it. Okay, that is what I meant by doubt solving. And is chat session enabled? I don't know what do you mean by this, Prasanna. Thank you, Abhishek, and thanks, Ankur. Great guys, all the best, and I'll see you. Okay, Shubham Kumar says, where can I practice poems? Yeah, Shubham, there is no definite source. You can check XAT 2019 का paper. I think it's just once कि वहाँ पे poem आया है. It has not been asked much. It was just once. So that is one. एक बार GMAT की website पे भी check कर लो. GMAT club पे you just type it. I will also look at it. If I find any source, I'll share it with you. Okay. Paras Jain, percentile score at which you can fetch IIM calls depends on your category. Are you a GEM candidate, Paras? If you are, then I can give you an answer. See, it depends on your your category, your academics, 10th, 12th, workx, kitna hai, what's your score. But plus, if you're talking about new IIMs, so 90 plus pe bhi mil jayega, Paras. If you end up getting 93, 94, you should be fetching at least some IIM calls. New IIMs, if you're talking about older IIMs, 97 plus should be a good bet. See, IIMK ka first round of call to sabko aa jata hai who has at least 90 plus percentile. For the second round of call, I think your profile and your relative percentile matters. Okay. Great. I think that's all, guys. Good night, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.